All right, how's it snaking? Emotionally attractive people, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking out this video. I hope this will be the first of many, maybe it won't be, of sort of video logs that I would like to do where I kind of just spill my mind, ramble forth. So if you don't like that, click away now rather than thumbs down because, on the internet, aren't we all so sensitive? I'm only half being sardonic or sarcastic with that. I have a cat on my lap. You can't see it, but you just have to trust me with how the camera is angled. So this is meant to be kind of a live journal. It's a 90s term, I guess, or a video log sort of thing where just talking about whatever is on my mind rather than annoy people with Facebook posts or tweets. I might still do those, but this would be the hub for it so that people see them on purpose rather than just arriving in their newsfeed, something unclicked upon. What I was curious about as well is what I should be talking about primarily. So a lot of interests and a lot of topics and a lot of subjects that are near and dear to my heart. None of them am I a true expert on, even though I'm constantly trying to learn. But most people who watch this channel probably know a lot more than I do about many of the things that I hope to either touch upon in this channel or have already made videos about. Everything from board games to psychology, self-development, weightlifting and fitness and nutrition supplements, ASMR, hypnosis, autosensory meridian response, and how it relates to psychology and well-being, and therapeutic techniques of those kind. And let's see other things about, especially storytelling. Storytelling being the big one that is so important to me. Both fiction stories and just the ability to project and take the viewer, take the audience, take the partnership on kind of a journey, which I don't always succeed in doing. Sometimes I can be a little bit more listless or lackluster like I am now, or I am often with these video logs. But please give me as much critique or comments or feedback as you'd like regarding what you'd like me to focus on, what you'd like me to talk about, avoid, how long you think these videos should be. Any and all feedback can help me, as well as even technical feedback, like should I get the green screen working for all sorts of situations, even the video log, or should I just make these pretty plain with my background as it is? Speaking of which, that's a good kind of transition for the first topic I thought I'd kind of muse over and to ask about, is darkness as a source of sadness. So this is usually talked about in the form of SAD, sad seasonal affective disorder, when people become more depressed clinically because of the shorter days and darkness of winter and the changing of seasons generally. So that's often when you hear about darkness making people feel sad, and even countries where people are generally happier and there's a higher standard of happiness index as far as people's reported self-awareness of how happy they are. There still can be an uptick in suicide because of darkness and the gloom that comes with that. So I think that's very real. I don't know that much about it, although I think I've experienced it some. And I think maybe most people have experienced a little bit of it at least, though perhaps not enough to be diagnosed as such. But I'm also curious about times of the day, regardless of country you're in and regardless of climate or season. I'm thinking that it seems to me we hear a lot about darkness in the evening, nighttime being when people are most depressed, or even getting out of bed in the morning, the depression or anxiety of the first moments of the morning. And I think that's all very real, and everyone can certainly experience angst, anxiety, depression, sadness, just negative feelings, whether they have a mental illness affecting them or they don't. Everyone has felt some sort of malcontent or upsetting feelings at every time of the day, of course, sometimes for external reasons, sometimes for no reason. But I'm curious if there's anyone else who, like me, is most affected late afternoon, early evening. There's something about being inside, being, say, near my computer as I am now, or just being away from direct sun exposure, but still having an awareness that it's fading, having an awareness that the night is coming and the daylight is escaping. The hours are running thin and late. Around, it's January 2019 now. It's only about 7:30 or 8 p.m. and yet it's quite dark. It's been that way for quite a while already. As soon as darkness arrives, and it's been steady for a few minutes, suddenly that anxiety for me relieves and is lifted. I don't feel that kind of angst, at least not caused by the darkness as it is out there now. But when it's getting there, when it is finding its way toward sunset, with the twilight hours, and then before that, the late afternoon hours, there's something about those late afternoon hours that give me a kind of sense of sadness or ennui or melancholy. Might be saying any of these words wrong, but I think you get what I mean. This kind of sense of restless fear and loneliness. So far, the only treatment that seems to be helpful for them, the only things that I can do that seem to be helpful for them, are the kinds of things that they recommend for anyone, anytime they're feeling negative feelings or depressed. Exercise, hot shower, good healthy food, more water, good nutrients, nutrition, supplements, again, exercise, going and doing hobbies, being with good people, being with company, talking about things, learning something new, being active, working on something. All of those bits of advice, whether it's getting a massage or working on a project that you're interested in, these are all good bits of advice, and they're all helpful, and they're all constructive, and they're useful for pretty much most types of mental illnesses or just mental afflictions, that, however momentary they may be, that affect you to the extent that those can be affected at all. So that's all well and good. And yet, despite that, it's weird to me that the baseline, my default for late afternoon, is that if I'm not engaged in those activities or those things or those countermeasures, that it does bring about those negative feelings. The only thing I can think that is an easy, relatively easy response to it is to go outside during these late afternoon, early evening sunset hours. If I am walking out and about or jogging / running, I can't seem to get my cardio ever to be high enough, sustainably high enough, that I can keep a run going, but I go run, walk. If I'm out doing that sort of thing, if I'm out walking, putting one foot in front of the other, or getting out of breath, maybe a little sweaty, or at least feeling my lungs burn, perhaps from the fast, cold air of January. If I'm doing that while the sun is setting, it seems to neutralize it. Part of this is the exercise, I'm sure. Part of this is being outside while it's happening. And part of it, I think, is seeing the sunset. So perhaps there's something to be said about, there's an anxiety factor of being aware that the sunset is happening, seeing the results of it with less light coming in through the window, but not seeing the sunset itself. In my case, my windows aren't even faced the right way that I could, even if they weren't tinted as they are. So I'm curious if anyone else is the same, or if anyone else has different advice about how to deal with this late afternoon, early evening anxiety. And it's a specific kind of anxiety because it's a kind of off-putting feeling that I don't get in the evening. I get different kinds of depression then sometimes, but not as consistently as this late afternoon anxiety. So it's my first kind of video log there. Let me know about what kinds of things you're interested in me talking about from the selection of the kind of plethora that I touch upon with the playlists and various videos I have in my channel. The comments are also a good spot to insult me or make fun of me. I like that as well, because any attention, good attention. That's not true. But I appreciate you checking in with me, tuning in with me, and letting me spill my thoughts on the page, or in this case, at the camera. I think it's good for me. And I think, hopefully, if it's even halfway interesting, or at some points amusingly pathetic to some people, then my job is done. Thanks very much. Keep watching with me, and I'll see you next time.